You used to be the empath in every room. You felt the mood before anyone named it. You softened your tone, chose your words, carried the tension so nobody else had to. Now, from the outside, you look like the avoidant one, distant, hard to reach, suddenly cold. And the truth is plain, you didn't become avoidant because you stopped caring. You became avoidant because caring kept costing you something you couldn't afford anymore. This is what happens when your tenderness is treated like an endless resource. A part of you still knows how to love deeply, to notice, to stay present. Another part has learned to pull back before anything can enter. In you, the lover and the guard are living under the same roof. One longs for closeness. One remembers the bruises. What looks like withdrawal is often an inner rescue mission, and if you've been ashamed of it, this is where that shame starts to loosen. It begins in the body, before it becomes a decision. A calendar alert flashes, coffee, and your chest tightens as if someone just asked for a loan. You see someone typing and your stomach drops, because you can already feel the weight behind the words. You still care. You just don't want to be recruited. At work, someone sits across from you and starts spilling their day into the air. You nod. You offer the steady voice you're known for. You watch their shoulders drop as they hand you their anxiety and walk away lighter. When the conversation ends, you stare at the empty chair and realize you feel used, even if nobody meant to use you. Then the shame arrives, fast and sharp. You feel a small, ugly shame for needing distance. As if your limit makes you less kind. Later, someone you love reaches for you, just a hand on your arm, a soft, "Can we talk?" The empath in you rises to meet them. And then something else steps in. Your jaw tightens. Your voice goes careful. You become efficient. You offer a calm answer that keeps you safe. You turn into that familiar fog, present enough to avoid conflict, distant enough to avoid being taken. From the outside, it looks like avoidance. From the inside, it feels like memory. You remember the nights you listened for hours and then lay awake, buzzing, while the other person slept peacefully. You remember how often you made room, while no one made room for you. You remember being told you were too sensitive the moment you finally asked for care. That kind of hurt doesn't explode. It erodes. It teaches your nervous system that closeness can come with a silent invoice. So you build a door. Not a boundary you can explain in a neat sentence, a door that locks from the inside. You learn delayed replies. You learn vague answers. You start canceling plans and feeling relief first, guilt second. And underneath your distance, there's grief you rarely admit. You miss the version of you who still believed love was safe. This is where the deeper layer begins, the inner figures you can feel if you stop calling it just who I am. There is a lover in you. Not the romantic stereotype, but the part that wants sincere connection. The part that opens easily, gives easily, listens with real attention. This lover is brave. It kept walking toward people with open hands. And there is a protector in you, stationed at the threshold. In Jungian terms, you could call it an animus kind of energy, not male, but firm, clarifying, decisive. It wasn't born from cruelty. It was born from necessity. It learned to act before pain arrives, because the lover kept getting hurt. It keeps a private record of every time your empathy became an expectation, every time you were praised as the strong one and punished for having needs. So when someone reaches for you now, the protector moves first. It doesn't shout. It simply pulls you back inside the house. And the lover watches the door close. This is the painful secret: the protector is loyal to you, but its loyalty can feel like loneliness. It saves you from being drained, and it blocks intimacy too. It's a guard who can't always tell the difference between danger and care. Behind both of them, your shadow waits. Your shadow is what you buried to stay lovable. The anger you swallowed so you could be understanding. The need you disguised as helpfulness. The hunger for being chosen, not for what you can carry, but for what you are. When those parts never get a chair, they harden into distance. Sometimes avoidance is simply anger that never got permission to exist. If you're honest, there is a moment that repeats. Someone asks for your presence. The empath in you takes a step forward. The protector places a hand on your chest. No. You may not say it out loud, but your body says it. Your eyes get quieter. Your voice goes neutral. Later, alone, you feel relief, and then guilt. You may tell yourself you're becoming heartless. But heartlessness is not what this is. This is what happens when your heart was asked to be a public space. The smallest shift doesn't come from forcing yourself to be open again. It comes from turning toward the protector with respect. Because the protector formed an oath long ago, I will not let you bleed like that again. So instead of fighting it, you meet it. You notice the sensation before the story, the held breath, the tightening in your throat, the urge to withdraw. You name it without drama, something in me feels unsafe. And then, quietly, you speak inward, as if you're addressing someone who has been standing guard for years without rest. I see you. I know why you're here. Thank you. That gratitude doesn't erase the ways the protector can overreact. It simply recognizes the truth: it saved you when you didn't know how to save yourself. When the protector feels seen, it softens in a new way. Not because the world suddenly becomes trustworthy, but because it stops being alone in its role. And in that small softening, you may finally feel what the lover has been holding: grief. Grief for the hours you gave away. Grief for the tenderness you offered that became a resource, not a bond. Grief for how hard you tried to be easy to love. Grief for the part of you that believed goodness would guarantee care. Let the grief exist for a moment. No speeches. No fixing. Just a quiet honesty moving through your chest. This is how the inner marriage begins. The lover and the protector start learning each other's language. The lover begins to understand that closeness does not require self-erasure, and the protector begins to learn that safety does not require numbness. And you begin to build a door that belongs to you, one that can open a little without flinging your whole nervous system outside, and close without guilt. Maybe the first sign is small. You answer a message in your own time, without apologizing for having limits. You let a conversation end before it drains you dry. You say, simply, I don't have the capacity today, and you don't punish yourself afterward. Inside you, there is a room that has been closed for a long time. Tonight you walk in with a small lamp. The light is warm, not harsh. You set it on a table. You pull out 2 chairs. One for the lover. One for the protector. You let them sit in the same glow, without forcing a verdict. And somewhere in the quiet house of you, a door that was welded shut loosens by a single inch, enough for air to move through, enough for warmth to return without becoming a demand.